Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. Thank you for stopping by to watch. We have a lot of stuff to cover today in today's video, so I ask that you stick around. I think it's some pretty important things that you need to be aware of, especially for those that still kind of struggling or trying to wrap their head around what's going on and what we might be facing over the next few months. And I did a video just a few days ago about the coming food shortages. There were some people commenting in that video that is in disbelief or thinks that it's all a hoax, and we're going to get into that today and talk a little bit more about that, so stick with me on it. I think it's very important. Before we get started on that part of the video, let's talk for just a minute about the map. Now, many of you have no clue what I'm talking about, and if you don't, there's a link in the description down below. We're just going to call it the map video. If you click on that, it's an idea that I've come up with to try to help us connect with each other. We'll see if it works, but there's a lot of people, a lot of you that are kind of getting on board with this and think that it could be a really good idea. And it's a very low-tech way of being able to connect with other preppers, like-minded folks in your area. I think a lot of times we need that icebreaker to make that connection with all the things that's happening in the world and what's most likely going to happen in the coming months. We need connection with each other and have created our own support group, our networking, our mag group, bartering, trade group, that kind of stuff. And so that's what we've got going on here. Now, to be honest with you, I've run out of pins today. And not every pin, each pin may represent one person, it may represent 50 people. It's just stuck in a region, and I will work on perfecting this. But the map itself is really just a visual aid to give you an idea of what's going on. But there are people that are emailing me. I'm getting sometimes well over 100 emails a day. People asking to be added to the list so that they can connect each other. And then I'm sending out emails to people in different regions saying, hey, you guys are all, in a close proximity region. You need to get together. You need to start communicating. I have made a video, and there'll be more that are exclusive just for the people on this list that you can view to give you some tips to do this safely. And just keep sending them to me. Now, the email that you can send them to me, I'll leave that in the link in the description below also to get in contact with me. A lot of you have been sending me an email that just says, add me to the list. I need a little bit of information. I need to know at least the state that you're in, and preferably either the county or region or something like that, so that we know where to kind of place you. We don't need your specifics. I don't need your last name. I don't need any details about you. Because that's not what this is. This isn't a data collection type of campaign. It's just I need enough, an email address, a state, a general location, preferably a name so that it helps to introduce each other, so that we can put you on this. So I'm getting emails and comments in the description, comments on these videos for people just saying add me. I need more. So please send me the email so that I can get you on this list. Now, a lot of people are commenting on how low tech this is. I even had a few people kind of laugh at it. There's a reason for that, folks. This is, and it's obvious, I think it's going to be even more, but this has been a lot of work. This past week, my wife and I have put several hours into going through all the emails, creating an offline database, figuring out where people live. If you say, I live in such and such county in Montana, that really doesn't mean anything to me at first. I have to look that county up and that's where it's at, and put a pin on it. But that's okay. It's a lot of work to this. And the reason why we are thinking and wanting to do this, not only is it just to connect you folks with each other, but with all the technology, the increasing of the data mining and the artificial intelligence and the overreaching big brother, the more things that we do online, the more I think it creates a a risk for us. And there are a lot of other prepper websites and YouTube channels and stuff that have like online forums and stuff. I completely, fully support them. And will promote them any chance I get. But if you aren't so crazy about getting on any kind of online area and just start talking about what you're doing and what you want to do and where you want to meet, this can help. I mean, you're still doing the email, but it's definitely not just throwing it out there on the internet. And so that's what another part of this concept is doing it in a manual, old-fashioned way. And if some of you want to go to the snail mail through the post office, I'll support that also. But whatever we can do to make connections is the point of this. So there is a lot of work. I know it's not happening as fast. It's been about 5 or 6 days or more, maybe a week since I started this. But again, it's a lot of actual work of sitting down and typing, and we're keeping the database. I created a database spreadsheet to put everything in. It's an offline computer, a laptop we have here at the house that's not connected to the internet. This isn't getting shared or used in other ways. And so I know that you're thinking, well, we're entrusting you with some of our information. That's true. And I appreciate that, and I understand, and I will not violate that trust. But it's also different than just throwing it out there on the internet, and you don't know who in the world is collecting your data. So there's that advantage in doing this way, but it's also just helping connect others. So anyways, I know that's a really long intro, and some of you get really tired of my long intros, but this is just another part of the video that we needed to cover on this map. So go to the link in the description below to find out more about what's going on, how to get involved. Email below also, and I'll put you on the list and get you up and going. Now, switching gears. I'm trying to talk fast because there's a lot of stuff to cover that I want to get into all in one video. When I made that video the other day, that's done a lot. I mean, the views, it's for me, it's been a huge video, well over 20,000 views, talking about the coming food crisis and food shortage. A lot of you get it. Some of you say it's bunk. Some of you say it's a hoax. Some of you say it's fake. It could be a little bit of all. And that's why we need to talk about it, because even if it's a complete hoax and there really is no legitimate food shortage here in the United States and around the planet, it doesn't really matter. It's like what we talked about with this health crisis. Even if it doesn't actually exist, it doesn't matter, because the people believe it does and the governments believe that it does. And so the people are reacting and the governments are enforcing it as if it did exist. So it doesn't really matter. And it's the same way with the food shortage. Whether it exists or not isn't so much the worry. I believe that there is food shortages in certain areas, but it's how people are reacting to it is really the thing that we need to pay attention to, because I believe there's just a narrow window of opportunity left for you to become more prepared than you are right now. And around the planet, governments are stocking up on food. They're starting to stockpile. Companies are stockpiling. Grocery stores are stockpiling. Wealthy people are stockpiling. So if all these people are stockpiling, then you and I should probably be stocking up on some stuff. So I'm going to be throwing a lot of information at you on the screen to hopefully help wrap your head around what's probably going on. Number one, let's talk about actual physical food shortages, like crop shortages, crops. And this is something that some of my viewers keep saying, well, I work on a farm, I own a farm, I work in that industry, and man, we're having bumper crops this year, just overbearing harvest and everything. That in some places you are correct. Some of the numbers across the planet show that certain crops in certain areas are just a lot of percentages up from normal, multiple, some of them even double digits increased in harvest. But that's not true everywhere. And that's what we have to pay attention to. So maybe your farm or your region of the country is doing really well with crops this year, but yet another country or even another region of the country is doing really horribly. It still can affect the whole food system. And you have to realize that we are a very much a globalist economy. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Our food system isn't just American anymore. And so if, China goes through massive food shortages and famines, it's going to affect us here in the United States. It's just how it is. And you may not like it, I may not like it, but that's just the reality of what's going on. And so that's what we're seeing in some places here in the United States, and in some places across the world. There is massive crop failures and crop shortages. And even though if you look at the numbers across the board, sometimes I was looking at some of them and it's only like, they fell by 2% or by 3% or by 1.8%. You might think, that's not that big a deal. Partly you're correct, and in the other part you're not. And why it is a big deal is because this year is different. This is a perfect storm that we are experiencing. A perfect storm of crashing economy, job losses, people losing their homes, getting kicked out of their homes, businesses shut down, bankruptcies, this ridiculous health crisis. Here in America with the election, riots all over the world, civil unrest. I mean, there are so many things that are happening. Natural disasters that's happened all over the planet. It's a lot. And when you add that all together, a loss of 2% in a crop can be a big, big deal, because we already have a very fragile system. Everything, the economy and especially the food supply system. So when it takes a hit, and other countries all at the same time are taking a hit, that's when the destruction happens. It's not like, corn output this year is dropped by 80%. It's not that kind of stuff. But it's enough that all together combined, the whole greater picture, it's causing serious problems. So let's quickly get through this. U.S. crop reports. These are just some news headlines over the last couple of weeks. U.S. crop reports signals worsening global food insecurity crisis. I mean, this is stuff, it's every day there's stuff like this happening. China's shelves are running empty. China has enacted some pretty draconian laws over the past few months when referring to food. I mean, they're struggling to meet basic food demands, and they're cutting back on the amount of food that people can eat and people can buy. It's pretty amazing and scary what they're doing over there in China right now. All right, and then it just keeps going. I mean, it's every day the headlines just keep going. Crop outlooks and higher prices come as the hunger crisis of inconceivable proportions. Inconceivable proportions. Unless it and other groups with similar focus get the financial backing and work they're needing. So this World Food Program, they're saying that there's the prices are they're going up. And that's another thing. Just like I said with the crop losses, only a few percent can make a big difference. The same way with increasing food prices, we'll get into here in just a minute. Just small increases are a big thing, especially right now with everything that's going on. Brazil is having some real trouble this year. They have suspended tariffs as exports to China create shortages. So they're having a hard time because they're having major droughts down there, and then because China, their crop production is just plummeted this past year because of flooding in some areas and drought in some areas, and the health crisis and all that. They're running out of food in China, and so they're rushing to countries to purchase it, and Brazil's one of them, except Brazil isn't able to keep up with their own supply this year because of horrible droughts that's going on. And here's something right here. This comes as the La Nina induced drought is bringing about delays in planting and damaged crops prospects as Brazil is entering a new growing season. As a result, Brazil faces shortages of corn and soybean inventories at a time when all-time lows in the Brazilian real market imports even more expensive. I mean, it's on and on. Global food prices rise as countries stockpile. Everyone's stockpiling. They're stocking up left and right. And if they're doing it, you better do it, because even if it looks like there's really plenty, if everyone's stocking up and these grocery stores are stocking up and countries are stocking up, what's going to happen? And then winter's coming on, and you know, it's a dark winter like we heard from Joe Biden. I'll get into that in a different video. That may be a Patreon video. Anyways, that just worsens the situation. And the next wave, you know, if you looked at the health crisis numbers, they're increasing, the highest they've ever been, and all over the country and all over the world. So everyone's just kind of sitting around waiting till the next lockdown occurs, right? Food supply catastrophe awaits the world, unwilling to act soon. The world is bracing for more pressure on food needs because of just all the stuff that's going on. They're expecting that there'll be 132 million more people globally may fall into the grip of hunger this season. Countries rush to hoard food as prices rise, and this is just a few of them here on this list. You know, Jordan, most of this is Middle Eastern, some you know, Asian countries, but these countries are stocking up every chance they get. And you got to remember, you know, countries like, say, Lebanon. Remember the big explosion there in Beirut? That building that exploded held something like 80-85% of their stockpile on grains. So that, you know, that's one country right there that they're going to be needing lots of food. America doesn't really have the stockpiles that we think that they do. They used to, but not anymore, folks. Fear of election. Now we're going to get into the just U.S. Fear of election, chaos, civil unrest, stockpiling of food, guns and ammunition. We've talked about the guns and ammunition. I mean, you find ammo anymore and it's like gold. You buy it up. The prices that you pay are just insane. It's absurd. If you do pay it, it's just absurd. This article here, should we stockpile food again due to COVID-19 surge? And what I thought was interesting on the article, it says, you know, what's the best action to take? It's like they're kind of downplaying. Almost, I get this feel that they know that there's not enough food if everyone stockpiles it, and to get them through. So they're telling you, just like back in the spring, only buy what you absolutely need, but don't stockpile it, because that's hoarding, and then not everyone will have enough. Well, why not? We should have enough to go around. We produce enough food, right? U.S. faces shortages up to 8 billion meals over the next 12 months, leading food bank says. These food banks, this is another thing, folks. You might say, there's enough food to go around. Yeah, there probably is, but it's going to end up costing a lot. You don't know where your financial situation is going to be over the next 3 to 6 months because of everything that's going on. Potential looming shutdowns again, that'll probably be worse. It's not like you're probably really going to starve, but you may have to go stand in a food bank line to get your food, and that's what a lot of people are doing, and that's socialism, folks. I mean, Bernie Sanders' dream. Everybody stands in the bread line to get their loaf of bread. So that could be your potential choice. Stock up now as you can, or, you know, fill your bellies from a government food line later. Grocery stores are stocking up. We've talked about that. This is an article out of North Carolina, but man, I could find one for every state pretty much about food pantries. They're bare, and the increase. Just one here. I was reading in the local news about this food bank about an hour and a half drive from here, and they had the amount that have increased is just astronomical. The food that they're serving. 54 million Americans are going hungry. Here's how you can make sure what you eat. Basically, stand in lines to get your food. The strain on government food programs is going up. Here it is. Feeding America. It's the nation's largest hunger relief organization. Read down here, it says, the nonprofit has seen a 60% increase in food assistance needs since March. 60%. And 40% of the people who are showing up for food distributions have never had to rely on charitable food assistance in the past. So that we're not talking people that are, you know, oh well, they're just living off of welfare, and you know, they don't have a job, they won't get a. That's not the case. We're talking like middle class working Americans. There was another article I couldn't find for this video, but I'd read it a week or so ago. In New York, they were interviewing the head of one of the food banks, the big food banks there in New York, and he said that one of the problems they're having with keeping up on restocking the food bank is because a very high percentage of the people that in the past were big donors to the food bank have now become people that are receiving from the food bank, and so they're not able to keep up with the demand. That's a lot. New York, 1.5 million New Yorkers can't afford food and are getting their meals, some or all of their meals, from food pantries. That's 18%, folks. 18% of New York. I know New York's falling apart and it's the slums, but is that the next America? Is that, I mean, the way things are going, it's almost like they want to run America like New York is being run right now, and that's scary. 18% of the population of New York is getting some or all of their food now from food pantries. And if you read that article, it's a longer article, but it talks about like middle-class people, business owners that's lost their job, that the city in the state has shut down their business because of this craziness that's going on, and they're literally to the point that they're trying to figure out how they can eat. So they're having to go to these food pantries. It's not just middle class, or I mean, it's not just, you know, the homeless and the very poor that's going to these food pantries. Here's another one, another wave of the pandemic approach. Nation food banks are being hit on 3 fronts, and what this article is saying, kind of like what I'm saying right now, the influx of new recipients that they've never had before, along with disruptions of the supply chain, and that's due to this, you know, health crisis. There's still a major disruption because there's so many areas, so many companies and stuff that are still shut down or partially shut down, and all this craziness. That, with the increase in food prices because of the health crisis and all this other stuff, is causing these food banks to have a real strain on keeping up with it. And then here, look at these numbers here. Last year, and this is according to the Department of Agriculture, last year 10.5% of U.S. households were food insecure. So 10% of American households did not have enough food for what they needed. As of May 5th of this year, May 5th, 22.5% households were food insecure. So it more than doubled by May. We haven't fully recovered in any sort of way. And with winter coming on and a new wave happening, and if they start shutting things down, how much bigger is that number going to get, folks? How much bigger is that number going to get? This is why you need to stock up. This is why you need to take it seriously. Let your friends and your family know. I don't care where you buy it. If you don't know, if you want to get long-term food supply stuff, freeze-dried, you can get on my website, preparedness.com. You don't have to buy from there. I don't care where you buy it. I don't really care. I'm not trying to say mine's the only and the best. It's just an option out there. It's a good priced option for the amount of calories and food that you get. But just stock up, and stock up on food, and stock up on the things that you need, because again, what we saw back in the spring with the first wave is it's just a test. I think that this is all leading up to the Great Reset, and we'll probably talk about that in another video because I've got some new information on that. And a lot of people are just sitting back saying this is conspiracy, crazy, whack job, you know, all this Great Reset, another conspiracy theory. Really? Because it's the front page of Time magazine for the 1st of November, their international cover. It's the front page of the magazine, the cover copy, I mean, the cover of the magazine, the Great Reset. It's not a conspiracy theory, folks. This is real. What they're doing, what they're planning, what's going on, it's orchestrated. It's this crazy psyop. There's a dark winter coming. Joe Biden said it, and even Donald Trump said he didn't know, maybe. Go look up what dark winter means. It's probably not what you think, folks. All right, let me know what you think. Email me about the map. We'll get you on it. Sending out emails, get you all connected. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.